Mike Greaves, welcome to my studio. This is Back to Art School. Okay, first things first, we got our setup here. It's just black and white objects and gray stuff. The other important thing is to have one light source so we can have some really strong shadows raking across the painting. So the way I started painting is I take my fingers and I make a little rectangle the same size as my painting, and then when you have that ratio, then you bring it over to the subject and you have an idea of what shape the object is going to be on the painting. So then after you do the finger trick, you can be like, oh yeah, okay, so the microphone kind of hits the side of my finger here, and that's the side of my picture plane. The Wiimote's the top over there, kind of leaves a gap, and then I got my PlayStation 3 controller over there. Now I can just kind of go crazy and make my abstract footprint. And that's that big dark shape. If you squint at your subject and all those black shapes are going to turn into one squishy like Morpheus blob, that's what you're going for in the beginning. Okay, now that I've got that established, it's time to set up some kind of loose value structure hierarchy. So you got your black is black and your gray tones and then your white. So I've been kind of loosey-goosey about measuring things, but at this time it's pretty important to figure out where the center is and then start measuring things off of that. So that's what's going on here. So now I'm reinforcing that value structure and making the darks darker and the whites whiter and laying in more paint and measuring as I go. So I'm juggling between those two things, the value structure and drawing. And you know, it's kind of like there's a ball rolling down the hill and you're trying to like keep it between two lines and batting it back and forth. You don't have to like make it perfect the first time because you can just correct it. And you're making smaller and smaller corrections as you go. Don't forget about those shadows. Shadows are shapes too, and you need to use those to construct your painting. Painting's getting pretty wet. There's wet paint everywhere. There's wet paint on top of wet paint, and when you try to make something white when there's already black on there, you put more white on there, it's gonna just turn gray. So I'm just trying to wrap up for that day of painting right here, so I can let it sit and dry. Back, second day. Painting's dry. So now that the painting's dry, I can like really get those whites wicked white, kid. So that's all I'm doing here is pretty much filling in, painting a little, mostly just filling in that white stuff and making lines straighter. Super important secret art advice is don't forget to take a step back and look at your painting. Walk away for a minute. Come back. There's something magic that happens where your brain can relax and work on it for a second and then come back and like look at it with fresh eyes. Still working out the kinks of this videotaping my painting process, but I think you can see that it's not super detailed yet. It's just, they're all shapes that just fit together if you look at it, you know? Something that's hard to come to terms with is not letting things get precious. You think you did a good job painting something and you don't want to paint over it, but you know it's wrong in your heart. You gotta paint over that bitch. I feel like this is where I'm really like investigating the space, where discovering things I didn't notice, and that reflection in the iPhone and like little shadows and details and things I'm starting to get into. Just bop around. So this is real dangerous here. That little tiny paintbrush is a dangerous game. Could be polishing a turd if you're not careful. Letters in a painting is like one of my favorite things. It's a huge pain in the ass, but I always think it looks cool. You see, it took me a couple tries, and then I had to get that N and then write it backwards. I even had to get the maul stick out to steady my hand. So you don't have to make it perfect on the first pass with the black because you're going to come back in with the white and clean it all up anyways. And you don't want it to be too perfect anyway because it's a fucking painting. Starting to get real needly here. Those little tiny white dots and finding little planes. I hate the left side of that microphone thing. It was such a pain in the ass. It doesn't make any sense. It's like two 45-degree angles. I thought that little shadow in the middle was a pretty cool moment with has that gradation in it. Finding stuff like that and highlighting it is pretty important. I am messing with that stupid microphone. You get it. You get it. You'll get it. Come on. Come on. Nope. So the problem I was having with the top of that microphone is I was trying to draw it. I was trying to draw all those little parts separately instead of painting it as one object or like one shape and then breaking that into smaller shapes. And then after I figured that out, it kind of fell into place. So this is where I'm kind of winding down and getting ready to be done with this thing. I imagine some other people would keep going, and I imagine I went way past where some people would have went, so it's all up to you. Okay, that's it. First one's in the bag. Please like, comment, subscribe, share it if you want, and let me know what you think. Clean your brushes.